And as Parkland and communities throughout South Florida try to heal, the one-year anniversary can bring back feelings of anxiety, depression, and PTSD. Here to share more about the lasting trauma of the shooting and ways to cope is Dr. Mindy Cassel, psychologist, co-founder of the Children's Bereavement Center. Mindy has spent time counseling many MSD students. And Dr. Nicole Mavrides, she is a child psychologist with the University of Miami Health System. Dr. Mavrides is also an MSD graduate and a resident of Parkland. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
No, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's tough as we mark the one-year anniversary of the tragedy. Nicole, I want to start with you as a child psychologist. What is it right now that teachers, parents, students are going through as this one-year anniversary is here?
You know, I think a lot of what we see is that people are doing okay, you know, most of the year. You know, they started out feeling hard going back to school, but they were getting back into their normal routine. And this anniversary, I think, has really sparked just lots and lots of memories. Memories of the event, memories of the days leading after the event. And I think there's, you know, people are having some hard time sleeping. There's a hard time getting kids to want to go to school. So I think that there's just a lot of memories, and it's causing people to have anxiety and sadness and just not feeling so safe.
Yeah. Mindy, you work with these families, with the students. That's what you do with the Children's Bereavement Center, is to help people get through this process. Mm-hmm. So in your work, what is it that you're doing to help people, and what does this one-year anniversary mean? Are we going through some sort of, let's call it healing or progress, and then all of a sudden you hit the anniversary and people go backwards?
I wouldn't say that. I think for the families who have a loss, for the friends who have a loss, for the teachers who have lost students and neighbors, I mean, this really consumes the whole community. They are living this loss every day, particularly when your child is not there, your sister, your brother is not home with you anymore. They're living this loss every day. This day, in some ways, is not more painful than any of those, although the attention and the focus on with the entire community heightens it. And it gives them somehow, if you think about it, the families themselves will grieve privately today. They'll be among each other, they'll be with their families, getting support from one another. But for this community to come together and to acknowledge they don't feel a lot better. Mm-hmm. If you ask them, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling about this? 1 year is not enough time. Grief is a lifetime experience, and it needs more time. Everybody is an individual, and how they deal with their grief is very individualized. And they need to have the time and the focus, and everybody grieves in their own way. At the center, what we give people an opportunity to do is to look at how they can pull on their own strengths, how they can get together and share, because grief is meant to be shared. And to have this community every week. They need to digest it in little bits. It's not that one time is going to take care of it, that just a few sessions is going to make a difference. It's something that that everybody evolves from. And this incident, this horrific tragedy, changed almost everybody in the community to some extent, some people much more than others.
And Nicole, talk about that, because it's sort of a new normal. That's what we were discussing, right?
Yeah.
You're never the same again.
You're never the same. Any sort of trauma, any sort of tragedy, whether it's a death of a loved one, whether it's a school shooting, you're never gonna go back to the way you were before. So, you know, like we said, we like to call this the new normal, because on most days you're gonna feel kind of normal, but you're never going to go back to the way you were before this event happened.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think, you know, going on what Mindy said, I think that for many of these families that did lose somebody, she's right, they're grieving in silence, and they're grieving every day. But I think it's more for the community at large, the students, some of the teachers who maybe weren't in that building, and just the community. The events leading up to the anniversary have been really difficult. Sure. It's just, and I think that it does make it more of an issue, and I think people are having a harder time during this week of the anniversary, because there's so much emphasis on it.
Well, and you live in Parkland, so talk about that. And you are a graduate of MSD, so you live in that community. What is that like?
I mean, you're always surrounded by, signs and T-shirts and bumper stickers of, MSD strong, Parkland strong. I'm a proud, alumni. I'm a class of '97. We all came together and we all put banners up and things right afterwards, but really people are still feeling it. Everyone I know, whether they live in South Florida or they live in California or New York, they all posted today just how horrific this is, and just how only a year later things haven't healed. Everyone's still kind of numb by this event, and we're shocked because Parkland is a safe place to live. So the town is not recovered.
Right.
We're doing our best.
Sure.
But it's not there.
And what I'm hearing from both of you is this is a long process, and for many people it could be a lifelong process. But talk to me about, you're a psychiatrist, you're a psychologist. Is there a way that you treat people differently?
A lot of times with psychiatry, we focus on the medication aspect of things. If someone is really, really struggling to the point where they're not functioning in school or not functioning at work, and they need the medication to help maybe bridge the gap so that they can actually do the therapy. Because I think what happened initially was people were so devastated, they couldn't even begin to think about going to talk about these issues.
Yeah.
So we go more from the medication side, the medical perspective, but there's no way to do this without doing the concomitant therapy or working on your grief. It's just not gonna, the meds can only do so much.
Sure, speak to that, Mindy.
And when you think about it, are families supposed to all go to therapy, everybody in the family, when this trauma hits your family? You know, that's a very tough thing to do, which is why we have a group work once a week where people can come and compartmentalize at least the opportunity to talk about this, because life is still happening. Kids are still going to soccer. You're still going to the dentist.
The world didn't stop when the tragedy happened.
Stop.
Right.
But you still need the time and have a place to take this. Yes, they deal with it at home. If you think about it, just the way everybody is getting together to acknowledge this day and to live, to share with each other, it's something that's innate within us, that we have the capacity to grieve, and we need to come together to do so. And it's very important to make that a part of your life, because the grief and adjusting to it, we're not looking at treating this as a pathology. We look at this as something terrible happened, and people are going to evolve from it. How you evolve, if you evolve in a healthy way, if you have a healthier grief experience, we really can touch how people grieve. They're going to grieve the way they grieve. Their personalities, their families, their traditions, they're going to do it their own way. But what we can do is offer the kind of support, education, an opportunity to change your perspective about what's important in life.
I hear is what's so important.
Yes.
Nicole, quickly, how do people talk to their kids about this? It happened in Parkland, but it affected our whole community, no matter where you live, and even around the country. So how do you talk to your children about this?
And what we do and how we recommend talking is to use very, very specific words. Things like, you don't want to just blow over it. We want to talk about that there was a shooting, or there was, people were killed, but we don't need to go into all the details, how many bullets, how many this, but you need to let them know that there are people out there who are not good people. And this person went in and he killed some innocent lives, and that the teachers and that the staff and that the security guards, they're all working to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And I think that the
That's
more
what's
you
most
can
important.
encourage kids to understand that this is all to keep them safe. Like the
drills
red
and all
drills,
of
the
that.
code red
Right.
drills, and the guards on at the side of the schools
Yeah.
or the fences.
Right.
These are not there to make them feel scared, but it's really to keep them safe and to protect you.
Ladies, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
And we're going to have more information about the Children's Bereavement Center and mental health resources available at UHealth on our Facebook page at YourSouth FL.